Um, so, okay, this is our interview video for Nina Claire. Nina Claire was born in London, UK in 1975 and raised in Ford, Norway. She is a self-taught artist who began an introspective journey through photography in 2017 after life-changing events. Over time, Nina's practice has become interdisciplinary. She uses her body and in performance art, photography and video to question and examine self-love, solitude, and the relationship between the body, cultural construct, and cultural production. So, hi Nina, how are you?
I'm good, Alejandro. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We're gonna begin with the first question. What's your relationship with the performance practice and the use of the body?
Well, it's a very new relationship. I started with performance art last year, so just a little over a year ago. Before that, I did photography since 2017, but it was very performative. I realized in hindsight, I have no schooling in the arts, so it all was something that happened in life. And for me, it's all about finding a space for the imperfect body. With age, it's also finding a space for the decaying body, the injured body, the female body that's not fitting into the norms. So that is my main drive.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. So you moved from photography to performance, and your previous work with photography was also artistic. Or you had a different approach, like
It's
journalism.
actually, I would say that photography, video, and performance art has for me become one body of my work. It's all very connected. And I use a lot of the same approaches, I would say. And that's, it's all linked in theme, the way I use my body. So the step from photography, video to performance art it felt very natural to me.
Perfect. Um, what are the contextual and physical materials that you usually work with?
I usually work in ephemeral studios, I would say, from the beginning with photography. It's just a matter of using the space that's available to me and trying to merge my body into it somehow. So it could be hotel rooms, it could be my home, or it could be other people's homes. And it's also a sort of a discretion in it, I think, a sort of hidden expression in it. And it's all about being in a transit situation. So that's the setting of everything. When it comes to materials, I would say that I use what's available within that space. But often you will see that I use mirrors in my photography, and that's to expand, I think. I'm still trying to find answers to what I'm doing sometimes, but it's to expand the space.
Yeah.
Also, I use a lot of transparency in fabrics, but I also use outdoors, woods, trees, yeah.
And you work with other people's bodies too, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
If you work with other people's bodies.
Yeah, I sometimes photograph others, and they are always people I know. So there's always a personal backdrop to what I do. I want to bring something out of this person that I know. But most of my work is using me because it's not so easy in a small place where I live to actually collaborate a lot.
Okay. So can you talk to us about a series of photographs, or it's, I don't know if it's just one photograph that's called Hotel Stories: The Sorrow.
I can begin by explaining hotel stories because this was a series that began in 2017 when I was traveling quite a bit. I had just started photographing myself, and I was always finding myself in this transit, a different hotel room each time, and different situations, sometimes very personal situations, but being alone. And the sorrow, the photograph you're referring to, was during a time that was very difficult for me. It was in December 2017. My grandmother was in hospital and she was actually dying at the time. We knew that it could happen anytime. So I went to this hotel in Dartford where I had to stay, and I went to the hospital. I stayed all day from morning till evening, and it was Christmas time. So I made a series of photographs dealing with the inevitable loss that I was facing, because we knew that she would pass away. And it was extra sad because I had to go back to Norway because I couldn't afford to stay any longer at the hotel, unfortunately. And she passed away 2 days after that. So this series is very, very personal. It's really about a loss of a person who was binding our family together, a matriarch in a very international family, because I live in Norway and she lived in the UK. So I have family everywhere. So that feeling of trying to connect, but at the same time having to deal with logistics, finances, it was all
Distance.
about that.
Yeah, yeah. And about that, like somehow it relates to the situation and the context we live in right now. So I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on the arts of the body and performance art in the pandemic times and isolation times, in which the body has to remain enclosed or indoors, or not in touch with other bodies? What are your thoughts on that?
I find it extremely difficult. It's, I mean, even though performance art is very new to me, it's, I really long for that physical presence. And I find it really difficult to find any connection when you are in a virtual space. I've tried a couple of online performances, and there's a big difference. I think many artists find this very challenging. It's because performance art is not just showing your work, it's also about you feel the presence, you even smell the bodies, you can sometimes touch the bodies, hear someone's breaths, or hear an immediate feedback. And it's a big challenge to try to look past all that, but at the same time we are all forced to stay connected in this way. So this time is both personally challenging and also challenging for our practices. And during this time, I've also had a very serious health problem. So I've even been more confined. My vision is, some of my vision is lost, and I can't move my body freely. So I'm also trying to find ways to be careful in my performance works. So everything has to be minimized. And that's a bit what I feel in this time, that everything is minimized. Time is standing still. And it's because of the long distances, it also feels like time is stretched between everyone, because we are somehow stuck in the moments we all had together before the isolation. So I was at Venice International Performance Art Week in January, and that was the last big thing I had before the pandemic.
Wow.
And I feel I'm sort of stuck in that time with all these people. So it's very strange.
And what are the strategies you have found to precisely that, to keep yourself connected, but at the same time safe? Like, what strategies have you found to do that?
Well, for me, I've actually slowed down quite a bit. I'm not so productive. It's not because I'm not full of ideas, because the ideas are there, but I feel I have to be even more mindful about how I present my work, because it has to be virtual. Even it can be live or a pre-recording. It's just so different that it just takes time, I think, to get used to it. And I'm still working on my strategies for this. It's an ongoing process. Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Nina Claire. It was
Thank you,
very
Alejandro.
nice to hear you. And we're very excited to see you at the Trienal DEFORMES.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm very excited to be part of it. Yeah.
Good. You're welcome. So